Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to you, and welcome to the Voice of the Microsoft Partner Roundtable. I'm going to show you exactly what you need to focus on in order to maximize your total return on investment and the incentives that come along with it. I have my colleague on the call today, Andres Oceguera. We call him Andrizzle, the best guy in the world here. Off of a mic, and you can go ahead and give a wave. That'd be great.
It's a pleasure to be here, you guys. Always willing to answer any questions, and it's always great to know I see some familiar faces. So excited to have a chat here today.
Awesome. Yeah. Okay. So the very first thing that I really want to just start off here, and some of these things may be rudimentary, but I think I like to look at things as foundation, and then what do we want to focus on to get us in the right position to get the maximum ROI. So silver and gold are gone. Bye-bye. See you later. Adios. Right. So you can't very quickly, very simply, membership. What is that? Hey, you got an MPN ID. This is like, we're just starting out. Hey, I want to be a Microsoft partner, right? You get an MPN ID, and then what do you get from that? Well, you get access to marketing, okay, and access to Microsoft Learn, right? Okay, great. Sounds good. Okay, perfect. Thank you. I'm not really doing anything else, right? And you're still confused, right? Now, partner success level is saying, okay, hey, you got an MPN ID, and then you finally figured out who to talk to buy and sell licensing through a distributor. Great, you aligned with the distributor. Partner success, you've aligned with them, and now you're starting to sell CSP, right? You're starting to sell CSP licensing, you're selling Azure, you're selling Microsoft 365, Modern Work, you're selling Dynamics. You are going through a distributor to get the licenses, and then what do you get as a partner? Well, you get the margin. Okay, and what is the margin? Margin is the discount over MSRP that you're getting from the CSP. And what do? Okay, I bought it for $20, I'm getting it for $18 or whatever the thing is, and that's your margin. That's what you're making on selling licensing. Okay, so the good and bad about that is, yeah, you're starting to make a little money, but it's pennies on the dollar. It's almost negligible, right? To actually do that, right? To make money on that end. The next level, which is really taking over for silver and gold, is that solution partner designation. Okay, and why this is important is because if you think about it, and as I mentioned in the very beginning, there's 6,000 new workloads. It made sense that they got rid of silver and gold, because if you said you're a gold Azure partner, okay, well, heck, there's 5,000 new workloads in Azure. How's it possible you're that good at all 5,000? You're not. So Microsoft actually did a pretty good thing when they're saying, okay, hey, there are 6 different areas. You want to specialize in 1 or 2 of them. There's Modern Work, which you should all do because you are selling Office 365, and then you want to pick one of the Azure ones or a security one, right? So you go through that, you get your solution partner designation. Now, what does this do for you as far as it comes to incentives? Let's talk about that. So it allows you now to get this thing called back-end incentives, okay? And it's called residual compensation. Residual, for some of you that are in the telecom world and come back like, what does this actually mean? So what it does, it says, okay, hey, by the way, if you have the solution partner designation, we're going to give you the equivalent of gold level IURs. Cool, 100 licenses, E3s, get a bunch of Azure, you get every single server application. Awesome, okay, that's great. But now what you get is back-end residual, and that's the important piece of the solution partner designation. Now a caveat to this though too is, depending on whether you're a bigger partner or a smaller partner, depends on how that money is divided up. Okay, so I'll give you the example of it. So Microsoft says, look, if you're a smaller partner and you have less than $10,000 in earnings, okay, they're just going to stroke you a check every 6 months. Here's a check, 10 grand. There you go. Thank you very much. Really appreciate it. We're not going to talk to you about MDF. Now, as you go above that $10,000 mark, okay, now you trigger this thing called co-op. And this is market development funds, Microsoft's idea of market development funds. So the easy way of explaining that is, okay, now you got $10,001, basically 6,000, because it's always a 60-40 split, 6,000 of that will come to you every 6 months in a nice little check. Boom, boom, boom. These are the checks, those deposits you get from Microsoft that you have no idea what they are. You get that, but you get those on a monthly basis, but they accrue over 6 months, okay? And then the 40% that you have left, the other $4,000, and this is just round numbers here, that's going to go into what's called your MDF bucket. Okay. Now, a couple things to understand. If you have 6 months to use it, Okay, if you don't use that MDF, you know what happens? Microsoft says, thank you, really appreciate it. We're going to take that money back, and they keep it for themselves. But now, really what you want to focus on is the advanced specialization. Okay, that is up here, specialization and an expert offer. And they took advanced offer, they just call it specialization, but this is where you want to go. And there's a reason why you want to go here, is because this opens up the thousands and hundreds of thousands of buckets of money. Right now, for the 3 that are underneath advanced specialization, there's not a whole lot of money there, right? There you get the back end rebate, okay, cool. But where you get the money is in the advanced specialization. Now, let me explain this to you. Let me break it down into actual dollars and cents, okay? Because I think this is what really helps us figure out why we would want to do this. So on the left-hand side, this is what you get for solution partner designation, okay? So we know, so if you did, okay, and this is an example of a $100,000 VDI deal, okay, virtual desktop infrastructure. There's a lot of things that very, very similar to this, but I like to use this as a good way of kind of explaining this. So on the left-hand side, on a $100,000 VDI deal, Microsoft says, look, now this is outside of your margin. So you're already getting 15% margin, right, from your distributor. Okay, so they're saying, okay, for a net new ad, they're going to give you 15% of the first year incentive plus the CSP and indirect accelerators. That's 21 points that you're going to be making if you have a solution partner designation. But that's it. That's all you're going to get. Okay. What's important to note is look on the right side. Okay. This is where it blows you away. If you had the advanced specialization for the same exact deal, you stack these. You're getting that 21, but you're also, now we can get $4,000 to $5,000 to just do an assessment. Then we can ask Microsoft, hey, we need a 10-to-1 ratio. If it's 100,000, I want $10,000 to $15,000 in deployment funds. I can, to basically offset deployment. So you can ask for that money. But then on top of that, look at the right. It says, okay, if you brought in a net new VDI deal, okay, they're going to give you a $9,000 bounty, like saying, thank you very much for bringing that net new VDI deal from Citrix or whoever they're bringing it from, right? And then they're saying, hey, over this next year, we're going to give you 30% of the partner attributable ACR. So at $100,000, that's 30 grand. Okay, now let me show you dollars and cents on this one. Oops. Okay, look at that, dollars and cents. On the left-hand side, you're making $21,000 that first year. But if you had the advanced specialization, now you're looking at $5,000 for the assessment, and then for the MCI engagement, you can ask for $15,000 to do the deployment. It says 20 grand. They give you 9 grand plus the 30. Now on that same deal in the first year, you're making $81,000. Okay, $81,000. Andres, we've talked to a lot of folks about this, and when you're talking to them, what is typically the feedback that you get from folks?
I think the first feedback is there's a lot of concern regarding the claiming process. Partners, PI used to be a thing, right, where you would claim, and there was typically this monster effort to go get funds, and you spend more time trying to get the dollars than you actually received in value back. So that's the first initial. And then the second thing I hear a lot from partners is, we're just so far away, and I don't even know what I need to do to even get there, that I just don't, it's not even top of mind. But then all of a sudden you jump into their portal, you take a look, and you say, you add 2 certs, you add 1 customer, all of a sudden we just need to do an audit. So it's not as far as you might think it is. In some cases it is, right? Because there is a certain tier you got to get to. But for a lot of partners, you've been in the space for a little while, you're growing, it may not be as unattainable as you think it is. And there's definitely, 81,000 reasons for you to figure it out.
So things have changed significantly. Okay, we've been hearing about, this is another thing to be careful to note. We've been hearing about this for a few years, okay, which is any between the SMC, which is 500 to 25, their enterprise agreements are no longer going to be able to be renewed. Been hearing this for a long time, right? Hearing it. And even a month ago, I've had partners say, I think it's a bunch of crap. I don't think it's going to come about. And the reality is it has not just come about. Now there's an actual motion in place where you can go inside of Partner Center and look at all of your customers to actually find which ones have EAs and which ones have EA renewals coming up. Because Microsoft wants you to do the transfer from that EA to CSP. It's actually in the Partner Center today. It's crazy. They just rolled it out a couple of days ago, but there's a way to find your client, find out when that enterprise agreement is expiring, and then convert them to CSP. Okay, there's an Azure CSP opportunity. Now this is kind of cool because I think the difference here, and actually Andres, you were explaining this to me a little even better, but discuss the margin that you're getting versus this payout, because I think there's a confusion. That 15% is the same as the margin you get from your distributor, but is this on top of that?
This is on top of it. Yeah, no, Microsoft is making a massive push. If you look at the dollars and cents that they allocated to the different programs, they put a significant amount of money into the Azure space because they see that as a growing part of the business. And so I think they're doing the same thing from a rebate standpoint. Now, what you'll notice is you've got your 4% baseline. That's just if you've got an SPD, you're always going to be earning a minimum 4% on the back end through your CSP Azure consumption. On top of that, they've got specific accelerators for different workloads, and most importantly for an AI accelerator. So you get to pick. So for example, I think Azure Virtual Desktop, or you see on the bottom, you have it right there, Sherman. Actually, I didn't see that. Those from specialized compute all the way through Microsoft Defender for Cloud, those are workload accelerators where if you're selling those specific SKUs, you get an additional 3% on top of your 4. And if you're using an AI one specifically, you would actually get 4 plus the 7. So you choose between the 3 or the 7, right? On top of that, if it's a brand new account or workload that they've never utilized before, you also then get an additional 15% for the first year with that customer as well. So you could theoretically, let's say it's an AI accelerator for a new Azure customer, you could theoretically be earning 26% on the back end. It's nuts. It's a big number. So this is why getting a solution designation is so critical, because if you don't have it, you miss out on all of this.
Thanks, Andres. No, that was a really great explanation here. All right, so I'm going to change gears to get into the marketplace, okay? Because part of what we're talking about, remember, the first thing is we got to get a solution partner designation. The next one is we have to get an advanced specialization, and this is to maximize all your ROI. And the third one is this marketplace. Everyone's talking about marketplace. We've been hearing about it for a while. The first thing I want to look at is there's two different theories here. There's one for infrastructure or biz apps partners, and then there's a different theory for the ISVs. Okay, so what it's meant to do is showcase your value to Microsoft sellers. Let's just cut the crap here. Don't expect any customers to find you this way. Okay, I'm giving you brass tacks. I don't work for Microsoft anymore, so I can say it this way. Don't expect any customers to come this way. It's just not going to happen, right? You need to have offers tied to your SPDs and advanced specialization. That's what's really important here. Don't put just a regular offer out there, right? And then you need to have 3 pieces of media. So remember, now for ISVs, a little bit different, okay? And this is actually what you have to do to qualify to get really into the program where Microsoft sellers are going to help you out. First, the idea is to not just publish that offer into the marketplace, but you need to get the offer what's called co-sell, IP co-sell ready and incentivized. Okay, what I mean by IP co-sell ready is after you create your initial offer in the marketplace for your app, right, that you want to sell, you're gonna have to submit it to Microsoft. You're gonna submit, the actual application to Microsoft for them to do a review. After they do their audit and they do their review, then it becomes IP co-sell ready. Now I'm truncating a lot of steps to this, but the idea is to become IP co-sell ready. Now, when you hit a certain level of business that's running through the marketplace, then you become IP co-sell ready incentivized, which means Microsoft sellers will now get compensated for selling your actual product or your piece of software. Okay, that's what they do, right? Now, there's a cost to this though. Okay, so there's a 3% cost to having your offer in the marketplace. So you have to think about that when you are looking at your margins. You have to think about that. Okay, I got to add 3%. to my offer to make sure I'm making up for the cost to run it through. Okay. Now, why is this important, okay, for an ISV seller? Well, Microsoft has this thing, and why this is really kind of cool, called the MAC agreement. This is the Microsoft Azure commitment. This is great for ISVs. Because if you have a product in the market that's an ISV product that is in the market, that is IP co-sell ready, you can actually sell that to Bank of America, and they can use the portion of dollars that they haven't used in that commitment to pay for your application. Beautiful. You don't have to find any extra budget. And in Partner Center, you can basically find, there's a super secret way that you can find if they have a MAC commitment or not. And then you can sell against that. Super, super important. Now, also, as an ISV, you want to get the attention of the Microsoft sellers. And frankly, you won't get it unless you're IP co-sell ready as well as incentivized. Now, so that the first thing and foremost, this is most important, is co-sell deal registration. You actually have to go through Microsoft and you have to actually start doing deal registration. Now, the way I look at creating a go-to-market motions is there's 3 different levels, okay, that you want to think about. The first level of go-to-market is you want to look at all your seller to seller. That's going to be your low-level, low-hanging fruit. Next is executive level meetings. So you want to have the first motion of, I want to get all my sellers. Then next one is, how do I get executive level meetings? How do I get meetings with their managers? How do I, and that's going to come with win wires. After you do seller to seller, you're going to have to get like 2 or 3 win wires. You have to look for repeatable success to actually get to that next level. Now, the third, and I call it the Valhalla moment, the Valhalla level of engagement with Microsoft sellers is the STU, and that's a specialist team unit. If you can get to the STU is basically a combination of Microsoft executives that look at partners and their offerings and seeing which ones are repeatable over verticals. And if you've got a lightning offer, you got a lightning product that's going to really help them drive ACR today or help them remove a roadblock, then you get to the STU. The STU evaluates who you are, and then what do? They put you in touch with all the right people. That is the Valhalla portion of working with Microsoft, and you want to get to there. Okay, what do the sellers want to see? I know we're coming up at that time. They want to see 3 pieces of collateral: a 1-pager, a PowerPoint, and an infographic. And it's all about what does it mean to them. Okay, what does it mean?